Peace, Israel, and Yah bless. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Today, I would like to address a few topics pertaining to what's actually going on nowadays here in April 2025. I will call this segment Current Events, April 2025. Once again, I will title this segment Current Events, April 2025. We're seeing many things take place in the earth. And sometimes, besides me just coming before you and reading the text, the Holy Scrolls, sometimes it's good for me to come before you and just speak man to man. That way you may understand some of the things that you're seeing and hearing that's taking place within the earth. Once again, peace and Yah bless. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Once again, brace yourselves. Tighten up your jaws. Do not turn to the left or to the right, or you will get hit in the mouth. We are to walk the straight and narrow way. We are not to deviate to the right hand and or to the left hand. We must walk the straight and narrow way. Now, we have just finished Passover, and anyone that has read Exodus chapter 12 specifically, and those who have read where the Most High made it plain in Exodus 4:22 that his son is the house of Israel, a family. Now, when we go to Exodus chapter 12, it speaks to us exactly what he did on the behalf of his son Israel. This is the reason why he killed the firstborn man and beast of all the Egyptians, because the Egyptians was holding his son. They were holding his firstborn. So clearly, if you can read with any level of understanding, you understand that the Son of God is not someone named JC. You would clearly understand that. And that those who died, they were ransomed for the children of Israel. We were held captive. The Pharaoh did not want to let us go. So the Most High said, fine, you're holding my firstborn and you won't let him go. I'm going to kill all of your firstborn. So clearly we know this has nothing to do with anyone named JC. However, 1 week later, we saw where the Christians, who are nothing but Romans, Christians are nothing but Catholics, it's one and the same, arose by another name, it still arose. These Roman, European, Christian Catholics, all the same people, they have their idol 1 week later. And depending on what year it is, their idolatrous celebration, what they call a holiday, that falls on different days from 1 year to the next, and different dates from 1 year to the next. We know the Most High changes not. April 14th at even, or let's bring it another way, the month of Abib, on the evening of the 14th is when the Passover began, at dark. Both Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread begins at the same time. They run concurrent. And so we understand clearly that this has nothing to do with no one person dying for the sins of the whole world. If you are an Israelite and you're reading these scrolls, you clearly understand that. So what's happening is that the lies of the heathen is being exposed for the world to see. That both the man and woman of Israel and the stranger alike, they can both analyze these things, looking at the historical records as well as going into the biblical text to verify what they're hearing and to verify and validate what they're seeing. That way they may determine what is a lie and what is the truth. In current events, we have here where the Air Force General C.Q. Brown, Charles Brown, was fired from the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Now, granted, this is a quote unquote black man. By my observation, he's an Israelite. And he was replaced by a junior officer, someone who does not have his tenure, does not have his flight hours, does not have his experience, does not outrank him. Is not even a matter of fact, he is a junior officer. He's below him. This man does not have any of the qualifications to hold this post. However, if you are an Israelite in America, particularly, or in the West, and anywhere else in the earth, you have been a witness to the injustices against you and to our foreparents before us. We're seeing these injustices, we're seeing these curses play out before our faces. We're seeing the unrighteousness of our enemies day by day. Now, this man was relieved of his duties. He has performed, he's done an exceptional job in that capacity. However, he was relieved by someone who is a junior officer that does not have this man's qualifications. Many of us have seen and experienced these things before. Now, the lieutenant general who is replacing him, now, if this man had any righteousness in him, this is what he would have done. He would have said something similar to this. Look, I have not held the post that's necessary for me to be qualified for this position. We are military men, and within the military ranks, at no time does a junior officer relieve a senior officer unless there's been some serious infraction that has caused this man to be fired. In such a capacity is the only time when this happens. But no, sir, I thank you for this recommendation. However, someone who is much more qualified than I should hold this post. I refuse to take the post of a senior officer that has done no wrong. I withdraw my name from such a recommendation. Did he do that? Of course not. This is not the way the heathen works. This man was unrighteously removed from his job without cause, and an unrighteous man don't care how he gets the position. I don't care if you fire him unjustly. If you're going to give me the position, I'll take it. And so there's no righteousness in the midst of any of them. These are the things that we have been dealing with time and time again. However, Brother C.Q. Brown, that general, he's to be commended because, and he should not feel bad about this removal. He'll still get his monies, but what's getting ready to face the U.S. military, he doesn't want any part of it. He doesn't want that on his watch. He may not know what's in store for them, and so he may feel some kind of a way because he's been removed unjustly, and he knows it's unjust. He has spoken out about the unrighteousness. I'm not going to use the word racism. No one has been charged with racism in any of the holy text. When you're charged with unrighteousness, walking contrary to God's law, to his righteousness. And so these people are unrighteous in all of their ways. And so the unrighteous man is getting ready to pay. His judgment is due. And so to General Charles Brown, the last thing that we need is for the calamities that's about to befall the U.S. military to fall upon his head. So he has been done a favor unbeknownst to him. Now, many of these generals, these quote unquote black generals and black officers, many of them are absolutely silly and they will sacrifice themselves and sacrifice their own people on the behalf of their enemies. They are sitting at the table of their enemies, and most of them, all of them, have been carefully vetted. The enemy knows clearly that these men will not poison the food. They are on board. However, General Charles Brown is different. When the George Floyd situation was in full effect and they killed that man by putting a knee on his neck, and our people uprising in the streets, General C.Q. Brown actually stood up and spoke out about the racism in America as a whole and the injustices, the unrighteousness of the nation, and the unrighteous dealings of the military men who are of African descent, most of whom are Israelites, the injustices that they faced and continue to face, and the hardship and the obstacles that they must overcome within the very military that they're fighting for. He has spoken out against these things. And one thing the unrighteous man does not like, he doesn't like when you take his unrighteousness and put it before his own face. So he was targeted in doing this. So, to General Charles Brown, I commend this man for the simple fact that he was willing to stand up and risk it all to point out the unrighteousness of his superiors, the unrighteousness of the nation in which he lives, and the unrighteousness of the organization by which he is a part of and represents. Many of these black men, these men who are of the house of Israel, will take this money, and if they had to take guns and kill a nation of black people, they would do it without thought. They are that absent minded and that stupid. And so, General C.Q. Brown, once again, hats off to this brother for speaking up against the unrighteousness that he has seen in the organization of the military and in the nation as a whole. And for that, for speaking righteously, the unrighteous will turn against you. And these types of acts displeases the Most High, and he will deal with those who are unrighteous in their ways. So, Brother C.Q. Brown, no fear, they have done you a favor for what's getting ready to befall this nation and its military and its commanders. So you dodged the bullet as it pertains to that. I've told you before in times past I was once an infantry marine in my younger days. And though I was very young, I was a lance corporal at the time. There was one captain, I won't mention his name, but he was in a totally different company, brother. Now I'm a young man. He's a captain. If I had to go over to the company building, to our company headquarters for anything, if I had to go over there and he saw me walking through those halls, he'll call me, get in here. Call me by name and tell me to get in there. I get in the office. He said, close the door. I close the door. Yes, sir. Sit down. I sit down. And this captain would tell me all the mess that these white officers was putting him through and trying to put him through. I mean, here I am. I want to say I was a lance corporal at the time. And this man is a captain. Now, he just felt that he could talk to me about these things, and he's done it on several occasions. Because he knew, I guess he understood what type of person I was, even at a young age. But he would call me in there and tell me all the mess that these white officers were trying to do to him and how he had to be on his guard. He didn't call them white, he used a derogatory term for them. But they were just messing with this man. Now, to the other Marines who didn't know any better, and he did not speak to them in the manner that he would call me in the office and talk to me, you would look at this man and think, here you are, a Marine Corps captain. And this man, he was sharp too. He was sharp. Uh, you would think that's what you would want to be, a Marine Corps captain. Everyone is looking at him thinking, that's the position to hold. Unbeknownst to them, the absolute hell that he had to go through from day to day just to hold his position. And he made me very aware of that. And once I was out of the Marine Corps, I was given an opportunity to go back and to go to school. The deal was I would go to school for 4 years, but after the 4 years was completed and I obtained my degree, I would have to go in the military and do 6 years of service as an officer. And I absolutely turned that offer down and have no regrets about it because I was clearly given the blueprint of what goes on with black officers while I was in the Marine Corps. I had a black officer that would pull me in his office and give me the top to bottom of how they were dealing with him. And so I was well aware of it. And it's good that it's being brought to the forefront for many of our people have experienced these injustices. Uh, if you've looked at any of these old videos, Lena Horne spoke of it when she used to do the tours in Europe during the war. That they would put all the black military personnel in the back and would put the white ones up front, and how she would purposely bypass all the white ones and go back there and sing to the black to the black soldiers. And after a while, they kicked her off of that tour. Uh, Many of the black soldiers would tell you that the very Germans that they were fighting, once they caught the prisoners of war, these same Nazis, prisoners of war, would be sitting there with the white dudes, with the white Americans eating. Brothers would have to eat last. And so the white prisoners of war were given priority over the very black soldiers that were part of this nation. So the injustices and the unrighteousness of these organizations and this nation against our people, they run deep. All right. And that's just a quick synopsis of that. Now, speaking of generals, there's a Marine Corps general that somehow this man, he is willing to poison the food. Now, on the behalf of General Charles C.Q. Brown, that man has stood up for what is right. And do understand, when you're dealing in the midst of the unrighteous, they will punish righteousness or seek to. So General CQ has paid the price. He has stood up on the behalf of his people and has paid the price. Many of our men are unwilling to pay the price for their own people. So once again, my hat's off to him. Now, this Marine Corps general, another brother, he is in charge of AFRICOM. Now, certainly the position that he holds and the fact that he has been given this position is because of where he has to delegate his authority and look over, which is Africa. Best place to put a black man is anything dealing with Africa. He looks like him. This man seems to be willing to poison the food. I would I would think that a man, and being a general, you will be somewhere, you'll be in mid 50s, close to 60 to attain such a rank. Being 60 years or 55 and above, any black man is of that age bracket would clearly, you would think, would clearly understand the racial dynamic in the history of all of these Europeans as it pertains to them encountering quote unquote black people of any type, Israelites or not. And to see this man get before Congress and get before a microphone and say some of the madness that's spewing out of his mouth, it make you wonder, is this a black dude or what? Where has this man been living for the past 50, 60 years of his life? Does he not understand the operation and the ways by which his enemies maneuver, and that he is nothing but a pawn in the game? He seems to be one of these men that would not have a problem picking up guns against black people and killing them. There's a few of us like that. There's a few of our men, a few of our people that don't mind killing some black people, don't mind killing their own family members, don't mind killing people in their own city that look like them. This is not new. Keep in mind, many of us want to find a lot of these banners to hide behind. We want to hide behind Pan Africanism. We want to hide behind FBA. We want to hide behind Afro Latino. We want to hide behind Afro Caribbean. And all of these other titles and umbrellas that we want to hide under. Now, the only umbrella that's going to work is righteousness. And that's it. Because in the midst of all of these other umbrellas that we're hiding under, 5%ers, whatever you may want to call yourselves, one's ideology does not change one's bloodline. So if we are the house of Israel, we can call ourselves whatever we want to call ourselves. The bottom line is, are you righteous or are you unrighteous? And that's where the buck stops. And many of our people are unrighteous in their ways. This is why we were sent to the four corners of the earth. Let me repeat that one more time. The vast majority of our people, remember, only 90% of us will be delivered from this mess and returned back into the land. That means 9 out of 10, 90% of us are unrighteous in our ways. Only 10% going to be delivered. Period. So, as a family, as a collective, we are foul from top to bottom. Doesn't matter what you call yourself. Doesn't matter what we call ourselves. The Most High has declared that He's going to deliver 10%. The other 90 is going to die in their sins. Now, it doesn't get any more clear than that. But many of our people are foul. I have seen this with my own eyes. Many of us can attest to our family members being unrighteous, friends of ours being unrighteous. There's men right now today who are in the quote unquote gang banging lifestyle that would tell you that they would go where this imaginary line is from one neighborhood to the next to kill a man that looks just like them. And they have no compunctions about that. So there's many of us who are willing to do the bidding of our enemies to do harm to ourselves. Most of these men are unaware that what they're doing is to no end and it is destructive upon their own souls. So this is something that we have to learn. But we're to keep in mind that when we see these black generals sitting at the table of their enemies unto themselves, their enemies unto the Most High, their enemy unto our people, their enemies unto our people. They have always been, but there are a few who will stand up. General Charles C.Q. Brown is such a man. This black general of AFRICOM, I want to say his name is Langley. This man right here, if you hear him speak, it'll make you throw up. And we have many black men like this that really you look at them and they literally disgust you. And this is such a man, disgusting. Come before the mic and say all manner of foul things. Now, there was a time when many of our men and our women would do things that's harmful to us as a group, and we were powerless by which to punish them. And this is one reason why many quote unquote black people will do some egregious things to the group, do harmful things to the group, and they will have no compunctions about it for the simple fact that they know that there will be no consequences. Those days are over. Now, when you do harm to the group and you do harmful things to the group and cause our names to stink in the midst of the other nations, the Most High will strengthen us with the mechanisms by which to punish you. And so these are the changes that we are to look forward to. This Marine Corps general, they knew he wouldn't poison the food. Hence, this man was given a job, and we will see what his latter end shall be. Because certainly he's willing to carry the water for his enemies and speak lies and unrighteousness to do harm to other black people, whether they be Israelites or not. If you're unrighteous, you're unrighteous. Simple as that. Now, this nation is getting ready to face military and economic hardships and isolation from the rest of the nations. There will be more military conflicts that this nation can handle. Other nations have stopped funding this nation, i.e., many of these other countries would buy these U.S. bonds. A bond is nothing but a loan. One nation may say, hey, we'll lend you 500 million. You give us 500 point something million back after XYZ amount of years. Many of the other nations have come to understand that when they buy these U.S. bonds, these U.S. treasuries, that they're funding their own demise. For this nation is using these monies to fund their military and to destabilize governments. In most cases, the very nation, the very nations, plural, that's buying the bonds are the very nations that the U.S. is trying to destroy. If not militarily, covertly, they're trying to do it. So, when you figure out that a man that you're lending money to is trying to destroy you, you stop lending him money. Starve him to death and watch him go broke. So what you're seeing now is many of these nations are no longer facilitating the debt of the United States. They're not buying their debt. And by no means is the nation able to sustain this military warfare all over the earth to sustain all of these military bases all over the earth without those that it is harming being complicit in the behavior, meaning that once all these other nations come to the realization that, hey, I'm actually funding my own demise. I'm lending this man some money, and this man is using this money to kill me or do harm to me and my people. As the nations of the earth comes to this understanding, they will start withholding their money from this nation. And if this nation decides to tax every resident, every citizen 100%, that money still would not be enough. So there would be a shortfall of the monies. Now, much money is owed to China. It is my thinking that they have no intent of paying that debt. It is best to just go to war with them. And they will go to war with that Chinese man. And they will go to war with that Iranian man. And they will go to war with that Russian man. And they will lose. So says the biblical text, based on my understanding. We can see clearly once again the other nations will stop buying the bonds and it will be unable to pay its debt and fund all of these wars and these expansions. We see clearly that inflation and the cost of living is increasing, which brings about stress. So we have seen mass shootings before. We will see more as the people become more so under duress. We will see the increase of suicides, mass shootings. We will see the divorce rate increase. If you want to put stress on a marriage, let there be financial problems, loss of jobs, drug abuse, and things of the like that can tear a family apart. So we will see drug and alcohol abuse, etc., as the nation goes into chaos and into financial duress when these other nations refuses to buy its bonds and decides to kick their military out of their lands. All of these things are coming and they're coming all at once. These are the judgments of the Most High against this nation and those who rock with it, i.e., NATO and all the European Christian Roman nations. You're going to see this before one specific people. Think of the days when we were kicked out of Egypt. We were in one nation, held captive by one nation, enslaved by one nation, and the Most High dealt with that nation, put plagues upon it. At first, the plagues were hitting everybody, Israelites as well as Egyptians. Then the Most High made it plain that it was Him doing it, when He clearly made a distinction and a difference between His people and the Egyptians, where the plagues were only hitting those Egyptians. So we're going to see something similar now. All of these European, Christian, Roman, Catholic nations are the ones that has held us captive, that's enslaved us, that's murdered us, that's made laws against us, and that has dealt with us unjustly. And so now, as He has brought judgments upon Egypt, now He will bring judgments upon your Spain, your Portugal, England, France, America, Germany, and all these other white European nations that had a hand in murdering, slaughtering, and enslaving us. And you will see when these hardships begin to hit, it will be them on the TV screen crying, bawling, and hollering because their sons are dead, their children are dead, their husbands are dead, and their house has been destroyed and burnt down to the ground or got swept away by the waters or by the winds. And we're going to sit there with absolutely no tears in our eyes because in the time of our calamity, they they were part of it. And so when we were crying out, they helped us not. And there was no compassion shown unto us. And when the Most High bring judgment upon our enemies, we will show them no compassion. We will give the Most High praises for doing that which is just, and that is it. There's no need to shed tears or hold hands with an unrighteous man. period. And when your judgment comes, it is what is deserving of you. And that's it. And no one should be shedding a tear when justice hits the unjust. And if we were foolish enough to do such a thing, then the Most High will turn his face against us if we were to do that. And if we were to celebrate in their destruction, he will also turn his face against us. So we're simply to stand fast and hold still and thank the Most High for dealing with the wicked and the unrighteous before us. Simple as that. Now let's deal with the Pope. This Pope has passed away. Now, if you've been to this channel for any length of time, you know clearly that I've told you before, when these Roman, Catholic, Christian, white people, when they are elected president, within the first year of their term, they have to go see that Pope. The Pope is the head of it all. Rome is the head of it all because all of these Christian nations are Romans. These are the people that ran us out of Jerusalem. These are the people that burnt down the Most High's temple. That's why the Most High said what he's getting ready to do to these nations is the vengeance of his temple. These European, Roman, Christian, Catholic nations are the ones that did this. And after they ran us out of Jerusalem and burnt down the Most High's house, they dragged us into their lands. It's like a prize. Okay, yeah, I got you now. So here we are in the midst of our enemies. And some of us refuse to believe that we are in the midst of our enemies. Now, all of the nations, upon the death of this man, all of these white, European, Christian, Roman nations are in Rome to pay homage to their king, the Pope, their leader, the Pope, their religious leader, the Pope. Remember, Catholicism had a split. Protestant Reformation is what it was called. And in the Protestant Reformation, from there, birth all these different denominations of Christianity. I don't care what you want to call it. So the Romans, the Catholics, the Christians, hey, a rose by any other name is still a rose. A Christian is nothing but someone who splintered away from the Roman Catholic Church. Same wickedness. And so all of these leaders from all of these nations that are nothing but the fragment of Rome, they all going to have to go up and pay homage to this Pope in Rome. And you will see that. Now let old T.D. Jakes or Joe Osteen, what's one of them other chumps? Creflo Dollar, or one of these other chumps, let them drop dead and see who comes. See if any nation sends their representative to see one of these jokers. These are unimportant individuals. The power is held in the Catholic Church. All the Christian nations, all the Christian churches and denominations pay homage to the Catholic Church. They are the granddaddy of all of them, that Roman Catholic Church. So when there are wars and there need to be settlement of lands, they're going to talk to the Pope. When there's any dispute about anything, the leaders will seek out that Pope, will sit down with him, talk to him, and obey his voice, so to speak, for the most part. So we have seen that the Most High has removed that man, and so now they're getting ready to pick the next Pope with smoke and mirrors and all manner of foolishness, none of which you will ever read in the Holy Script, in the Holy Scrolls, as it pertains to the sons of Aaron, who are the only ones that's allowed to hold that priesthood. That man was not a son of Aaron, and none of them are. These are white dudes. And you black people that's in Central, South, and Latin America that swear you're some form of Catholic, and that goes for the Taino people too, that are not white people, that seek to be white. and chase after everything that's white, you have to remember that you speak Spanish because you were conquered. There, in many of these nations, when you go to Honduras or some of these other places, there's still people there that speak the native languages of those lands, and it is not Spanish. We are to remember that Spain is a European nation, a nation of white people, a nation of killers. These are hunters. These people, they hunt, they kill, and they destroy. And if we look at their track record throughout the earth, there's a reason why they have the appearance that they do. They have a specific job throughout the earth to conquer, to kill, and to destroy. And at the end of the day, the Most High will remove them. It's really that simple. Now, I try to reiterate to people all the time. Many of us don't want to deal with this. You have a few instances where people upset the Most High. Miriam being one of them, Naaman Ghazi, and the governor that decided he wanted to walk into the Most High's temple and do the things that only the priests are allowed to do. When you do anything that's egregious, that upsets the Most High, he plagues you. He makes you white. Now, we have read in Genesis where after Cain killed Abel and he was sent away, he said, those who see me will kill me. Now, he wasn't talking about his mother and his father. There were other people on the earth. And the Most High put a mark on Cain that if any man see him and try to do anything to him and do harm to him, then 7 times judgments is coming on that man's head. Now, we can attest that if any Israelite or any other people harm someone that's a white person, 7 times come on your head. I mean, you're going to have some problems if you do harm to them in these nations. The Most High have sent this man throughout the earth on a specific mission, destruction. And you can see that everywhere that this man has touched down and everywhere that he has landed. It doesn't say how the Most High marked Cain. But if I had to guess, my guess would be the Most High made him white. That's if I had to guess. You can come to your own conclusions with that. To where the minute this man shows up, you would be on total alert because he is different from everyone else. Entirely different. Lacking pigment. Now keep in mind that Africa is hot. And most people are trying to make the Most High, not most people, these Europeans are trying to make the Most High out to be some kind of a fool. Most High, I've told you before, has fashioned the polar bear to live in the Arctic. He's specifically designed to live there. The Most High fashioned his people specifically to live in Northeast Africa, Israel, where it's hot. White people can't endure that climate. They're not built for that. Now, I'll share this with you. While in the Marine Corps as an infantryman, you're required to do what's called a cold weather package, meaning you're going to go to Bridgeport, California to train, and then you're going to go up to the tip of the Arctic Circle and you're going to train uh, in Alaska. I mean, it's like 58 degrees below zero, somewhere around there, like that. It's miserable cold. There's cold, and then there's beyond cold. And let me tell you, and some people do their cold weather package in Okinawa as well. But I tell you what, I've never been that cold. The Marine Corps doctrine should be to where, hey, if there's ever some fighting in the snow, don't send any of the green, what they call dark green Marines. Dark green means you're black. So there's 2 types of Marines in the Marine Corps: light green, white dudes; dark green, black dudes. Right? So in the doctrine, it should be to where, hey, dark green Marines, hey, you stay in the rear if we got to go fight in the cold. Why? Because we're absolutely useless in the cold. 6 months to a year before I was able to feel my fingertips and my toes after cold weather training. It was that cold and that miserable for me and all the brothers in my unit. Now, white dudes, on the other hand, Man, they would get up in the morning yelling, "It's a beautiful day to be in the Marine Corps, ah, hoorah," and all of this. Outside, standing there in their skivvies. That's Marine Corps term for underwear. Nothing on. They could do that. But when we hit Somalia and that heat was hitting them, all the brothers be outside chilling. White dude, I mean, have so much cream on his face as far as on his neck, his face, his hands, and everywhere else. UV protection. They could not stand that heat. We out in that heat, chilling. No big deal, no problems. We're built for that environment. So many of our people are silly enough to believe that some white man died for you living in Bethlehem. And somehow that these European people that call themselves Israelis are the people of this land. These white people know they don't belong there. They know that. And anyone who understands demographics and migratory patterns, you can pull DNA in all of these other things that we can reference that these people do not belong here. The Most High's people are not white people. And we know this because he made Miriam white, and everyone was horrified at this thing. We had to wait, sit tight for a week, and not travel until he returned her back to her normal color, which means she wasn't white. Period. Made Moses' hand white, so when he pulled it out, people could say, "Oh my goodness." They're horrified at that thing. Horrified because everyone knew in the house of Israel, if you are white, Most High is against you. Let me say that again. Everyone in the house of Israel knew if you were white, that's the thing the Most High will do to you when you highly upset them. So if you didn't know, you know today exactly who you're dealing with when you see them. Now, am I going to say this to say, hey man, every last absolute person in the whole earth is horrible as a white person? It has not been my experience. I've got a brother-in-law that's a white man, 6'2", 6'3", with a white man, German. Got a couple of brother-in-laws, too, German. My sister-in-law is also a German lady. So is my mother-in-law. My wife's mother's German, and her father's an Israelite, American from Virginia. So my experience has not been to where all white people have dealt with me unrighteously. It has not been my experience. So I can't say every last white person is horrible. I can't say that. It has not been my experience. But there are many people who are much older than me that has been their experience, and it's true. But as for me, I can honestly say that, yeah, I understand who they are, but they have not all dealt with me in an unrighteous manner. But I can see clearly what's going on, and I understand what's going on, and I have no problem speaking out against what's going on. And sometimes people may be upset when you point out the truth, but all you have to tell them is, okay, well, show me where I'm lying. We can show you your track record throughout the earth and what you have done to the peoples that you have encountered. Tell us where any of this is a lie. And then they can be nothing but red faced, and they will shut up at that point because there's not too much they can do after that. So many people, the unrighteous, is not pleased when you put their unrighteousness before their face. Now, Russia and Ukraine. This conflict has exposed the hypocrisy and unrighteousness of this nation. Russia has won. NATO has lost. These are all these white European Christian nations. Ain't no black nation in NATO. So here you have them, and NATO has lost. Militarily, they will clash, and no deal can supersede the words of Yah. Now, I've read to you clearly what will transpire between these Iranians, the Chinese, and the Russians in America and NATO. Militarily, they're going to fight. And Russia and Ukraine is what you would call a neo Nazi nation. So America is backing a neo-Nazi nation. I know many of you have seen the clips where the African migrants living in Ukraine were trying to board the train by which to get to safety. And that white man said, nope, you N-words ain't coming on this train. White people first. I can't be mad at that man. That man gonna put his people first. Hats off to him. I'm not mad at any white man that said, hey, that's going to say, JC is God, JC is the son of God, and God is white. Man, you're white, say that all you want. I'm not mad at you. You do that. I'll do something totally different based on these scrolls. But you can't be mad at others when they put their people first. Black people are the only ones silly enough to put other people before themselves and before their own people. But we have been trained to think this way. If you take some black men in a room and some white man say, hey, look, your son and my son is in this river swimming, and they're both drowning. Now, this is the white man talking to the black man now. Now, your son and my son drowning, and you got this life preserver, you're going to throw it. Who are you going to throw it to? The white the white man is sitting there looking at his brother. The brother's going to say, I'll save your son. That's how we're trained to think. Me personally, the white man's son is dead. I'm going to get my son first. That's just what it is. Many of us don't think that way. Many of us are afraid to think that way. Many of us were not taught to think that way. It was beaten into us that we must consider everything, their feelings, and everything else before we consider our own. Many of the black women in the days of old, they had to feed the white children before they fed their own, had to clean the white houses before they cleaned their own, had to take care of some white woman's baby and her husband in her house before she could take care of her own house. So this has been a built-in thing for us. And what the Holy Scrolls does from Genesis to Malachi, it empowers us. That's what it does. Now, when we turn to the idols of our enemies, all that idolatry did, it weakened us. That's all it did. And the Most High was not before us, and our strength is the Most High. Now, when we turn back to Torah, then the Most High returns our knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and take away the spirit of cowardice away from us. So now, when someone asks us, "Hey, man," when a white man says, "Hey, my son and your son is drowning, uh, and you have this life preserver, who are you going to save?" Now, the dumb brother that had no knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is going to say, "You know what, sir, I'll save your son." However, with a spirit of common sense back into us, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, you'd be able to look him in his face and say, "Your son will be a dead man because I'm going to save my son." It's a change in thinking, a change in one's spirit. And these are the things that we're dealing with that's coming to fruition, where the house of Israel, our knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is being restored unto us. So, Russia and Ukraine, they're looking for a deal. There will be no deal. There's no deal that's going to supersede the Most High, period. So, if these Ukrainians are walking in unrighteousness, they're going to get killed, period. That's what's going to happen now to anyone that's walking in unrighteousness. Number one, you're going to be exposed. That way, everyone will clearly know exactly which side you stand on, and then you're going to get punished for it. And if you're egregious enough, then you get killed. And no one, look, if a man has raped a child, raped a woman, killed somebody, he get killed, man, I'm not sorry for him. Kill him. Remove him from the earth. And I have no problems with that. When I read that someone molested a child and got 10 years, I'm wondering how come he got 10 years? Make me king. He's dead by the time when the sun comes up. By the time the sun goes down, he'll be a dead man. That's my thinking. That's why I'm not king. Because if I was, I'd have a whole bunch of men removed off this place. So, once again, they're trying to work out all types of deals. But the Most High is removing the wicked from the earth. And the wicked man can't make no deal by which to save himself. You are to be in an appointed place at an appointed time for an appointed judgment. And you're not making any deals by which to escape that. Speaking of these wars, Ukraine and Russia, white people killing white people. So what you've got, you just have one is much more unrighteous than the other. That's all you got. Now they're looking for this Iranian deal. Now, the white man, and I'm saying it just like that so you understand I'm not pulling no punches with him. The white man that's sitting in Israel call himself an Israeli. I don't know what that is because you can't find no Israeli anywhere in the text. This Israeli man, they're saying, hey, we hit Iran and we destroyed all their capabilities by which to counter our jets should we attack them, and by which to we shot down all of their military software. We've destroyed it. That way, they are unable to stop the missiles from coming, and they will not be able to jam and counter our planes should we attack. They're saying that Iran is absolutely naked right now. Hope you heard everything that I just said. In the same breath, this unrighteous white man is going to say how dangerous Iran is. So, in one breath, you're saying economically they're weakened, militarily they're weakened and they're naked. And then in the other breath, out of the same mouth, you're going to say that they are a threat to the entire Middle East. Now, when you look at the Medes, who are the Iranians, or you have to go back way back to find where they've ever invaded anybody. So, and if you look at the amount of people or the amount of nations that America has invaded over the last 100 years, man, it's extensive. Anyway, so they're saying that their Rangers are weak. We've destroyed their electronic warfare capabilities by which to jam the jets and by which to stop the missiles from coming in. They're weak. They're naked. And then they're going to turn around and say, you know what? They are a military threat, and their program must be reduced because they're using this nuclear program by which to make an actual nuclear weapon. Now, keep in mind, these quote unquote Israelis supposedly have nuclear weapons. Now, when I read the text states that there will be no war when the house of Israel returns back onto the land, that the house of Israel will be at peace when they return back onto the land, and no one is going to make us afraid. Most High said he will be our protection round about. Most High never said, house of Israel, when I pull you out of these many lands where I sent you, and I bring you back into the land of Israel, I'm going to make sure you have nuclear weapons by which to protect yourself. He didn't say that. He didn't say, hey, I'm going to have you begging to some nation called America to get you some military help. Text doesn't say that. The text doesn't say, oh, house of Israel, when I gather you out of these many nations where I've scattered you and bring you back into the land, I'm going to make sure that you're manufacturing all manners of weapons of war by which to export and sell to other nations. Yeah, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say. This is just some of the things that let you know that these white people, can't say it any way other than that, these white people are not the house of Israel because they don't match anything as it pertains to the curses that was placed upon the family of Israel, and they don't match up any of the prophecies that were stated about that specific family once they have been returned and gathered out of the many nations of the earth. The Most High stated to the house of Israel that he will multiply the nation. In other words, the family will grow, but he will not multiply our joy. These Israelis are few in number, few in number. No one has ever enslaved an Israeli nowhere. No one has ever made laws against an Israeli nowhere. In fact, the term Israeli is relatively new. No one knows what an Israeli is. But we do. It's a bunch of unrighteous white people who stole the land of the true house of Israel, standing in the land talking about they're the house of Israel. That's who they are. And they will be removed. So this Iranian deal that America is trying to make on the behalf of these Israelis. Iran is an ancient nation. They are the Medes of old. The Most High will raise up the Medes and many other nations of the coast of the earth against America. The nations from the north, the Russians, the Chinese, and the Koreans, they are coming as well. They will be against her, against America roundabout. So use this time to prepare for the time to come, for the trouble that is to come, for the body bag's going to be coming here and you won't believe it. And in time, the missile's going to come here and you won't believe it. All the mischief that this nation has caused and the death and destruction that it has caused throughout the earth, it's coming upon the head of this nation. And we are housed within this nation. The famine is coming. The lack of water is coming. The lack of food is coming. The violence is coming. Not just America, England, France, Italy, Portugal, and all these other nations where white people dwell that have murdered, slaughtered, enslaved, and raped us. Their judgment is coming. And we are housed in these nations. So if you're of the house of Israel, you're to turn back unto the law, statutes, judgments, and precepts of the Most High, that you may be spared when these calamities hit them. And when they start getting busted over the head, don't you be stupid enough to get out there and try to take the lashes for them. Oh, this ain't right. No, it is right. The Most High is just. Ain't nothing happening to you that ain't supposed to happen to you. Most High is in control of all things. So when the Most High start going upside their heads, let them scream for JC. And we're going to sit back and see if JC delivers them from what's coming. It's really that simple. So they're trying to work out a deal with Iran. I want to say they're sitting down today talking about the third day of making a deal with this man. Now, every family of the earth knows you can't make a deal with these white dudes. You can't. There's no righteousness in them. That's the mark that the Most High put on this man to make him distinct from everyone else. His behavior is different. The Iranians know they can't trust him. Even the Russians know they can't trust him. But these Arab nations have been in bed with this European man against our people. And the man is going to double cross them. So we will see how this Iranian thing goes. But I'm thinking deal or no deal, they're going to go up against Iran. And the Most High is going to raise up these Medes and all these nations of the coast of the earth and the people of the north. And it's going to be dead bodies everywhere. From one end of the earth to the other. You know how much killing that is? That's a whole lot of killing. So when they go up against Iran, they will not win. Now, so they're saying, these Israelis are saying how Iran has just been weakened and everything else. And my question would be, well, if Iran is so weakened and they're so naked and they're this and they're that, won't you run up in there on them? Run up on them. Go by your big bad self, run up on them Iranians and let's see how it goes. I know how it's going to go for you. I read the text. Run up on them and see how it goes for you. America gonna run up on them. They'll find out how it's going to go. The Iranians got something for you. How did they get it? Most High gave it to them. So we're going to see if what this text is saying is true. We're going to see if this nation, if Iran and other nations that's going to come and join with it, going to literally going to just beat this nation down. We're going to see if that's true or not. So these are developments that we're looking at that we will see if it's true or not. All right, the shakedown. The shakedown. I've got to address this. Now, there are many of us, children of Israel, and there's people in Africa, those who are of the children of Israel, and those that are not, that believe in this JC nonsense, and that believe in that the church they go to is the house of God and all this other garbage, none of which is true. So many of us who live in America are very much aware that a few weeks ago, a pastor shook down the congregation. He's a pastor, but he ain't a pastor of the Most High Yah. He's not a pastor of the God of Israel. Let me make that clear. There are all types of pastors. He is not a pastor of the children of Israel. He's not a pastor that wears the mitre. He's not a pastor that wears the mitre. that had the holy ointment poured upon his head. He was never anointed by another priest. His father before him is not a priest. He does not wear the priestly garments, etc., etc., etc. If you read this book and you understand who the priests are, who the priestly line is, and the requirements of the priest, from their behaviors to their code of conduct to their dress code, you know this dude ain't nothing but a hustler. All right, so let's deal with this hustler. A pastor of JC, the white man's idol, has robbed his own people. So here's his brother, black dude, got some other black people in this quote unquote congregation, and he robbed them. All right, let's address that. Now, the book clearly states that we are a people robbed and spoiled. Now, when you rob a man, that means you got him unawares. Hey, you caught him off guard. That's what a robbery is. Robbed and spoiled, taken advantage of. Now, every other nation is taking advantage of the children of Israel. But then you got black people, men of the house of Israel, aka men of the house of Israel, that don't have no qualms robbing their own people. Some of them have robbed their mom and their grandmama and have done it. Some of you know of that. Some of you got, oh man, my brother stole some money from my daddy's pension fund or whatever. You know you got crooks in your family that has done this. Don't have no problem stealing from you, stealing from his daddy, stealing from his mama, stealing from his grandmama. Y'all know what time it is. Let me remind you, 10% of us is going to be delivered out of this. 90% of us are foul. If that weren't the case, then why are we here scattered to the four corners of the earth enduring these punishments? All black people ain't good people. All the house of Israel ain't good people. The Most High say 10% of us going to return back onto him. The other 90% he going to kill. That tells you the small percentage that will actually turn to righteousness. Just a reminder to you, in case you start thinking that you can start making allegiance with everybody and anybody that looks like you or that are your family members. Doesn't work that way. So the pastor robbed and spoiled his people. We are a people robbed and spoiled by the nations and by our own people. This was a hustler hustling dummies. Why are they dummies? Because if they read this text, they would know that this man is not a Levite. They would know that that church, that edifice, that eminent high place that they're going to call a church, they would know that that's not the house of God. I remind people all the time, I said, the house of God was placed in one spot, one place. First one built by Solomon, the second one built by Zerubbabel. Both of those houses were on the same spot, though not at the same time. When we are placed back into the land after we have been gathered out of these nations, and that third temple is rebuilt, it will be built in the same spot as the previous two. And in that one place, at that one house, that one spot, is where the Most High instructed us clearly. That is the place where we are to bring our tithes, our offerings, and to make our vows. And we're to do it nowhere else where we live. Absolutely nowhere else. Now, what part of that, O man of Israel, O woman of Israel, are you so silly that you do not understand? There are videos here making it plain. This is not me just talking to you. This is written in the scrolls. So you are foolish if you are giving this man money thinking that you are in the house of God when clearly we have text proving otherwise. This man talking all this nonsense. He doesn't wear anything and doesn't do anything in accordance to Levitical law. So we're being taken advantage of. Why? We lack knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. All of that has been taken away. So we are following after falsehoods and wonder why we're going around in circles. Once again, no anointed oil has been poured upon this man. He doesn't wear the priestly attire. Yah has not placed his name in any church on this planet. Let me say that one more time. The Most High, Yah, the God of all the earth, the God of Israel, our King, has never instructed the house of Israel that we were to build something called a church in the lands of our captivity. Our God has never placed his name in anything called a church. So when these pimps and these hustlers hustle you, hey man, they say fair exchange and robbery. So if you dumb enough to give this man your money, and you dumb enough to go into these buildings thinking that that's a house of God and thinking that's a man of God, when he don't walk after no commandments of God, and God made it plain in his instruction that he only had one house in one place where you were supposed to take your tithe and offering, and you know that place you're going to in Mississippi, in California, in Honduras, in Barbados, in Venezuela, in Colombia, in Italy, Rome, and wherever else, you know that ain't that place. So if you're going to be silly and someone takes advantage of your silliness, that's on you. And I'm going to leave that there. So this pastor shook the place down. He told the ushers, whatever that is, hey man, close them doors. Close the door. Close the door and let's get this money. Look, I need all of you online to give up some money. I need every last one of you sitting in this congregation because the money you just gave ain't enough. I need you to sow a seed, whatever that means. And black people fell for this garbage. Why? Robbed and spoiled, lacking knowledge. The house of Israel lacked knowledge. Now, knowledge don't just come to you, you got to seek it. So once we go into this book and start reading exactly who we are and figuring out who the priests are, God's house, where was it? Who was running it? Then these idiots getting played by these hustlers and these pimps would know better. Talking about this man, this altar and walking into the sanctuary and all this other garbage. Man, look, let's be clear. You cannot enter into the house of the Most High unless you're a priest. You can't approach his altar. You can't go in the sanctuary. None of that. But idiots don't know this because they refuse to read. And even when you read it, they refuse to believe it and refuse to follow it. So when these pastors decide to close the doors and tell the people that you can't leave unless you give up this money, that's robbery. That's robbery. And we're being robbed for the lack of knowledge. We have not sought the Most High, have not inquired of Him. And if you don't seek the Most High and don't inquire of Him, all your steps are going to be slippery. You're going to be robbed. You're going to be victimized, etc., etc. The Most High is not before you. The law is the light in this lamp. Hey, look, I got this lamp. Keep this law before me. Now, if I'm in a dark place, a place of wickedness, and all of these nations are that, these are places of wickedness. That's why we got delivered here. We were wicked, so okay, if you're wicked, let me send you in the midst of the wicked. See if that's what you really want. So here we are, these nations realize, hey man, this wickedness right here is too much. I didn't expect all of this. I didn't want this. I didn't want all this shooting. I didn't want all this pedophilia, this homosexuality, these murders, this lying, this hanging, and all these different things we're experiencing in here. This is too much. This is not what we bargained for. We couldn't believe it. We still can't believe it. We wanted a little bit of wickedness. Most High put us in the midst of the wicked, and we were like, whoa, this is too much. This man has no boundaries with his wickedness. Now we want out. And we want out and we want to protest. And we want to file lawsuits and all of that. No, your protesting is not going to work. What you have to do is turn back onto the Most High. He'll do the rest. That's where our power lies. That's where we will have that lamp before us. Now, when we know not to go into your church because we know it's not the house of God. We're not listening to any of the nonsense you're talking about because you're not a representative of God. You are not a man of Israel in that capacity. You are not a son of Aaron. You don't wear no priestly garments. We're not giving you any money. And that'll starve all of these pimps to death. When I say pimps, I'm talking about the pastors. They ain't nothing but pimps. You see, a pimp pimps the women, have them doing sexual favors for money, and then the women bring back the money and gave it to the pimp. The pastor, he a little different. He pimping everybody, men, women, and children, and they bringing that money directly to him. He living quote unquote high on the hog. Everybody else struggling, and that's what we got. So once our knowledge becomes increased, just like these nations are not buying these U.S. Treasury bonds by which to fund the U.S. government to kill them, as our knowledge becomes increased, we're going to stop taking our money and funding these pastors and these churches because we're doing the same thing as these nations are doing as it pertains to the U.S. We're funding our own demise. You're walking after a man that does not walk after the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, and precepts. And you partaking in this is destroying you. And you're being victimized for your lack of knowledge. All right. As the Most High removes the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from these Europeans, as you see now, the Secretary of State, Hegseth, when you hear him speak, this is a man that's unhinged, a man that lacks the ability to control his emotions. There's nothing worse than a man that is effeminate in his ways. A woman can kind of lose her composure. A man can hold his composure under the most dire of circumstances. A woman is going to break down. She's going to start crying, start yelling, start losing it and throwing things, no matter who's around. A man, if he is going to cry, he'll pick a time and place because he understands that if he's to break down crying in front of his whole family, he understands what that implicates for his position as a leader of that house. So, men, we have a time and place for certain things, and it's not for everyone to see or hear. Now, a woman, it's different. She'll break down and cry in front of everybody. She's expected to. This Hegseth guy, he's like a loose cannon, unbridled. In other words, ill advised words. He doesn't think before he speaks. He's not a prudent man. Now, the Most High said what he would do with the heathen. He will remove their knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So the prudent men, the smart men, are going to be made dumb. He's going to remove their knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And their counsel is going to be made to naught. In other words, all of the Secretary of State, the Vice President, the President, and all their advisors, the Most High is going to make their counsel garbage. He's going to remove their knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. They want to go fight Iran. Oh, that's gonna be bad. That's gonna be, I mean, it's gonna be bad. And when they go ahead and read Jeremiah 51, you got to understand that chapter first. But when you read it and you see, okay, this is not going to go well for them. So, all of their military advisors, all those that will give counsel, the counsel is going to be no good. It's going to lead them into a trap. Most High said he set a trap for this place. And we will see that what that trap is when everything comes to fruition. So we're to sit back and watch the show. Now, as the Most High removed the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from these Europeans, we're seeing it. And it's amazing that as their numbers become reduced, i.e., their birth rate, their knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is removed. You see all these leaders of the EU and the leaders of America and France, Germany, the rest of them. These are all the same people. Don't let the language fool you. Don't let the flags fool you. When one go to war, the other one goes to war, and one echoes the words of the other. These are all the same people. Look at them by their mark. I'm going to say that. So, as the Most High removed their knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from them, those of us who have turned back onto his laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts, he will increase our knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So what you're seeing is the people that's at the top and the ones that are at the bottom, you're going to see the house of Israel rise and all of the nations fall. Changing of the guard. We have returned back unto the Most High's law, statutes, judgments, and precepts. Therefore, we've got light before us in this world of darkness. And if we've got the light before us, that means you can't set traps at our feet because we can see clearly. We've got the Most High before us. Now, when you look at the Yemenis are giving them the business. You understand? Now, when the Yemenis come forth, when they come forth to speak, first things first, they're giving the Creator praises. That's first thing off the top. Very different approach. Man, you don't hear no man in America talk about no God. The ungodly people don't think that way. I've told you before, these Europeans, their God is their weaponry, their guns. Their God, their weaponry will fail them. It'll be a shock to them. They have never been accustomed to competing. They win when they hamstring and cut out the legs from under their opponents. But competing head to head, they're going to realize that when they have to compete on an even playing field against the Indians, against the Africans, against the Chinese, against the Japanese and the Koreans, this white man's going to figure out, you know what, I can't compete against these jokers. He can't. He know it. He is well aware of this. That is why he has made it his business to hamstrung the competition because he doesn't want any competition because flat out, straight up and down on a plain even field, he can't compete. Well, if I can't win this race, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. Ain't nobody running. That's how he plays. Well, I can't control this whole earth. Well, guess what? I'll destroy this whole earth. This is the spirit that's been placed upon this man. If you understand this book and you understand the characteristics of the families in this book, you understand the plagues that the Most High put on specific people in this book, then you understand exactly who is who when you look at them. So these are the things that we are to keep in mind and we are to be mindful of. So the Most High is removing the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from these European Christian Romans. These nations will face judgment. As their wisdom is removed, ours will be restored. So, man of Israel, woman of Israel, and the stranger that is of a contrite spirit, for example, that white person that's not really going for their unrighteousness. And I've seen a few white people in my time that's not going for the unrighteousness, that's going to play fair. Vast majority of them are not going to play fair. But there's a small fraction of them that, hey, when they see something wrong, they're going to point it out. Now, when they do that, they're going to pay for it. Their fellow white people are going to punish them for it. But there's some white people that have stood up and have done the things that are right. And there will be more so as they see the calamity fall upon their own people. So there's a change coming. And all that we're hearing and seeing is for a time to come. As things get worse, the house of Israel is to turn back. Start turning back. Do it now, you and your house. And that stranger that is of a contrite spirit, that's not about the unrighteousness. Turn back with your whole heart and your whole soul, and you too will be delivered. There's a place for you. So don't view this as some anti white rant. It is not. We can go through the scrolls and verify what I've said pertaining to them. We can go through the history of quote unquote white people and their encounters with everyone: the Japanese, the Chinese, the Indians, the Africans, you name it. The Taino Indians down in St. We can go through all the records of what has happened after the many peoples of the earth encountered the white man, the plagued man, and he has left nothing but destruction in his wake. And upon his fall, the fishes of the sea, the birds of the air, the trees of the forest will rejoice, for there will be no one poisoning the waters that the fishes can't drink them. No one will be poisoning the air that the birds can't fly freely. No one will be poisoning the waters with the oils and the petroleum. The forest will be singing, the birds will be singing, the trees will be happy because no one is coming down there to cut down the trees, making life miserable, messing up the ecosystem. It's amazing that the one man that here in America, the Israelite here has had to fight for civil rights and equal rights, and we still don't have it. The same man that we had to fight for these rights is the same man that's accusing other nations of not being civil and not having equal rights. The hypocrisy of these people is comical. I'm not gonna say it's funny, it's comical. And when you put it before their face, they can't do anything but sit there and look smug and stupid because you can't fight against righteousness. You can't fight against that which is true. Because when you're dealing with righteousness, when you're dealing with truth, you're dealing with God. And there's no fight in God. And if you try, you're going to lose anyway. So these are the things that we can clearly see as it pertains to these people. We can see clearly who they are. Now we're going to see what their latter end shall be. Now, if we're going to be delivered out of these lands, imagine the killing that's going to take place. Because the Most High has to prove to the house of Israel exactly who He is. And His word will stand and none other. So we will see. And when this takes place, it's going to be quick, it's going to be violent. Now, keep in mind, we've had years to prepare for this, years of reading these scrolls. So, to some people, they're going to be taken unaware. Oh, I can't believe this is happening. They're going to be shocked. It's going to appear sudden to them. But for those of us who have been in these scrolls, we have had years to prepare. It will not be a sudden thing for us. For we have turned with our whole heart and our whole soul towards the Most High's laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts. He has prepared us mentally for what's to come. And therefore, when it does come, He has also prepared a place by which to shelter us from that which is happening around us. So, man of Israel, woman of Israel, and stranger that is of a contrite spirit, look at these developments around you. The hardships will come upon the nations, especially these white European nations. We're saying that the nations in Africa are beginning to stand up on their own 2 feet. All of these African sellouts, these old men who have no problem fleecing the people, raping and robbing them. The youth are standing up with a different spirit upon them. And they're rooting out these old men who have been nothing but enemies unto their own people and have been in bed with the European. It's like TBA says, you can't trust these old. If you listen to TBA, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, children of Israel, and to the stranger of a contrite spirit, remain in the law, statutes, judgment, precepts of the Most High. At all times, when you see wickedness, punish it. Do not turn a blind eye to any injustice and any wickedness, for when you do, the Most High will turn His face against you and against your house. Like I've said about that general, this lieutenant general that's taking over the position of C.Q. Brown. If that man had any righteousness in him, he would have stated clearly, this is an unrighteous thing. This man has held this post and have done an honorable job. He is my senior officer. For me to take this position would be to disrupt the order of how things are done in the military. I do not have the flight hours of this man. I do not have the qualifications of this man. I appreciate your offer, but I respectfully decline. This is an unrighteous thing for you to remove this man and put me in his place when I do not meet the qualifications required for this post. I know why you're doing it because he's black and I'm white and you want to put me in this position to remove him. But I'm not going to go for that. I'm going to walk in righteousness. It's not a right thing to do. I decline. That's what a righteous white man would have done. But ain't no righteousness in the white man that fired C.Q. Brown, and there is no righteousness in the white man that's taken his place. They move together. And we're gonna figure this out one way or another. Some of us we never figure it out. We die dumb. Some of us we get killed while being dumb. Don't be one of those. Peace, Israel, and Yah bless. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. And peace to the stranger that will take a hold of the Most High's laws, statutes, judgments, precepts, and do them. We are to stay in the Most High's laws, statutes, judgments, and precepts. We are to read the text, be familiar with it, understand clearly how it applies to what's going on around us. The book was for a time to come, written for a specific group of people. It wasn't written for everybody. The Most High's people is not everybody. The Most High does not love everybody. So, to the people that that book was written for, they will be able to go into that book and translate it and interpret it clearly and concisely for the children of Israel to understand, and the stranger that will take a hold of the man of Israel that he may understand it as well. So we're at the point to where, once again, we are witnesses, and a witness sees. So we're going to sit back and see if all that our God has instructed us comes to pass. And if it does, and I believe that it will, all of these nations that has enslaved us, they're going to pay. Peace, Israel, and Yah bless. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Peace.